I'm really hoping my Wi-Fi connection will be decent, and I'm hoping YouTube as well will be decent while I have this conversation with some of you guys. The national elections are coming in, I think, May 2024. So in 2 years' time. And some of us have started the conversations about what's going to happen in this country, who's going to be running this country, how are they going to be running this country, and why should we let them run this country? And we've seen different people putting their hands up at different times. We're seeing, of course, the mayor of the Central Karoo, Gayton McKenzie, putting in work and saying, honestly, that he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed and he's ashamed that people are applauding him for such basic service delivery. Eradicating the bucket system. Why do we still have the bucket system in 2022, 28 years later? Embarrassed. We heard Herman Mashaba, who was the mayor of Johannesburg, who shook up Johannesburg, took over some hijacked buildings, was speaking about how we need to get rid of illegal, undocumented foreigners, which are some of the slogans now that the Patriotic Alliances have taken on. We've seen Operation Tutula speak about that, and we've seen Aaron Motsoaledi of the ANC now speaking more aggressively about illegal foreigners. Things that have been there and that they haven't really done much about. Herman Mashaba's State Action SA trying to shake up the status quo. Duduzane Zuma, who's still under the ANC, is putting his hand up saying he wants to be president. We don't know how realistic that is, because even within the ANC ranks, I don't think he is that powerful. Besides being the son of ex-President Jacob Zuma, but as far as the structures are concerned, because the ANC has got really, really serious structures, he's nowhere up there at the top. So as much as he's put his hand up to be president in 2024, his best bet, I believe, is running as an independent, which it seems he's not doing. So I think he's hoping that something will happen within the ANC, which realistically, I don't even know if that's going to happen. You've got the Democratic Alliance with John Steenhuisen, which has gotten rid of so many of its uppity blacks. Uppity, look, I apologize for the use of the word, but let's call it more upper middle class, highly educated, good English speaking, more westernized black people. Musi Maimane, they lost Herman Mashaba, they lost Phumzile van Dam, who was one of their MPs, they lost Lindiwe Mazibuko. These are now the cream of the black crop who left the DA. And if they're struggling to keep those type of black people in the DA, why would any other ordinary black person join the DA or vote for the DA? You've got the Freedom Front Plus, which comes across as a white Afrikaans party, so the masses don't even think about the Freedom Front Plus, even though it's been growing. And a big chunk of why it's been growing is because it seems like the DA is becoming more inclusive. And a lot of them, I'd argue, white racists don't want to be led by a black mayor under the DA. They would rather join the Freedom Front Plus. So it's tricky. The IFP Inkatha Freedom Party, which seems to still be a Zulu tribalist party. I'm not saying it is, but it seems like it is. So people who are not Zulu are like, I won't vote for the IFP. Yamang Osotho Buthelezi. And he himself has struggled to have decent succession planning. Really old man, tired, should be at home resting, spending time with his grandkids and maybe his great-grandkids. And he's still looking to be the face of the IFP. So who to vote for and why? I used to be a part of a WhatsApp group called Open Politics. I was added by a mate of mine now, Ronnie McKenzie. Very controversial figure, but very passionate about South Africa and South Africans. A lot of politicians were there, a lot of ministers, a lot of big business people were there, some journalists, some celebrities, etc. Just speaking about the state of the nation. speak about the political landscape of this country. I ruffle some feathers there because some of my thoughts are not politically correct. I swear, of course, I'm very aggressive in some of my views. I've recently been added to a relatively white WhatsApp group called Smolitics, added by Rob Hersov, the billionaire of Invest Africa, with a lot of well-off white people. There are some black people there as well, some successful white people, some black people who are part of different political parties, including the ANC, who are there, and they speaking about the political landscape. And I was removed recently again for being me, swearing, saying things that are not politically correct. And it seems like everyone has got their own view of where we should be going as a country. And if you're not part of that view, they seem to not really like you and they want to remove you. I was re-added into the group though, which is pretty cool. What I realize in these groups is this country is very far from being non-racialist. And our politics are still very far from being non-racialist. Race is still a huge factor in the political landscape of this country. There are people come 2024 who will literally not vote for a party because they feel it is maybe a white party or a black party. Doesn't matter what their policies are, what their manifesto states. Doesn't even matter what their track record is. If they've been doing good work, showing great governance, as long as there's a white person there or a black person there, they will not vote for that party. Race, still a huge divider, very polarizing. The next polarizing thing is class. We now have class in this country, which is arguably non-racial. We've got very rich black people who have very different views to poor black people. And when you try to have conversations between the two, you realize they live in different worlds. Now, obviously, if you add race and class, it's a mess. You've got a rich white person trying to convince a poor black person to vote for the DA. Or to not vote for the EFF. I'm worried. So one of the hopes for, I'd argue, the more whiter counterparts in this country, they're hoping for a coalition government come 2024, along with some of the more upper class black people. For that to happen, they're hoping that the ANC will get maybe about 40%. So the ANC needs 50% in parliament to pass any policy law that they want. For them to even pick a president, if 50% of them are in parliament, they can literally vote and get their person to be president. If they get to 40%, they will need 10% for a lot of their voting. Now the question is, where will they get this 10% from if all the parties don't really like them and all the other parties want them to get out of power? What some white people and some upper class black people are scared of is that the EFF will form a coalition with the ANC and say, we'll give you your 10%, but on condition, on condition that maybe a Julius Malema becomes deputy president. Maybe a Floyd Shibambu becomes Minister of Finance. Maybe a Mbuyiseni Ndlozi becomes Minister of Education. And we know the EFF will make sure that the ANC has sleepless nights, even though they might be running the country. They'll be like, at any given time, we can revoke our 10% and give it to other people. On the other side, these people are hoping that the DA, hopefully maybe the EFF, Action SA, the Patriotic Alliance, Freedom Front Plus, and maybe the IFP being, I think, the strongest opposition parties collectively. They're hoping that these guys will actually come together and say, guys, let's come together and join forces and remove the ANC. As long as the ANC doesn't get to have power in parliament and we can collaborate and combine on this 60%, we can then choose who we think amongst us might be the best presidential candidate. It might be a Julius Malema. It might be a Herman Mashaba. It might be a Gayton McKenzie. It might be a John Steenhuisen. We can choose who to place as ministers. Hopefully people that are competent and not just cater deployment, but getting the right people on merit to become ministers, to become members of parliament, and then the filter down from there. So that's their hope. And a lot of them are really hoping that, number one, South Africans vote in such a way that the ANC loses this 10% and gets to 40% or lower, so that they now have a fighting chance to create a coalition government. The chances of the DA getting a 50% is almost, it's not going to happen. So they're not hoping for that. But they are hoping that the PA will get stronger, Action SA will get stronger. Some of them are hoping the EFF will get weaker. But they're hoping in and amongst all of that. I mean, the EFF has voted with the DA in Johannesburg, in Ekurhuleni, in Tshwane. So they know that they can work with the EFF. The EFF made sure that the DA got a mayor in Johannesburg, in Ekurhuleni, in Tshwane. So it's like we actually can work with the EFF. We may not like them, but we have worked with them before. So maybe we can work with them on a national scale. The DA itself can't go into a coalition with the ANC. If the ANC gets 40%, and let's say, for argument's sake, the DA gets 20 to 25%, the DA cannot go into a coalition with the ANC. It would be great, and the DA might be able to negotiate. We would like to choose the president. We would like to have half of the cabinet of ministers. But it means that all the DA voters will feel like the DA sold out, and that the DA can't be trusted because they're willing to work with the exact people that they voted against. Part of the conversation I'm trying to have and trying to get out is, let me start here. I don't know who I'm going to vote for in 2024. I don't even know if I'm going to vote in 2024 because I do believe our political system is broken. I don't like the fact that if I vote ANC, I don't have a say in who becomes president and who becomes an MP. All of that gets decided in certain conferences where people are given brown envelopes and money bags. Cyril Ramaphosa wasn't voted for by ANC voters. He was voted for by a handful of people at a national conference. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that if I vote for the DA, there might be certain benefits which some of the people in this country that really need it won't get. The DA is against BEE, Black Economic Empowerment. And some of us can agree that BEE has failed, but it hasn't failed as a policy, it has failed in implementation. But the DA is not talking about the policy, they want to about implementation. They talk about the policy in totality. And BEE, I believe, has got 7 pillars. Preferential procurement, making sure that government tenders are going to transformed companies. It has to do with employment equity, making sure that certain companies are hiring Black, colored, Indian people. Once you scrap BEE as a policy, it means there's no need for some of these people, some of these companies to hire Black, colored, Indian people. There's no need for tenders to go to Black, colored, Indian people. Those people say, oh, we're going on merit. And merit will be given to companies that have been making money since apartheid days because, of course, they have the infrastructure, they have the equipment. Social economic development is one of Black economic empowerment. Making sure that companies are reinvesting in the communities that they make money from. Making sure that they develop small businesses. Skills development. There's a skills development levy which is meant to upskill people. That falls away. Social welfare. Would a DA, would a Freedom Front Plus, would an Action SA scrap grants? We've got half of the population on grants. If you scrap the grants, what will you replace them with? Because people don't have money and they don't have jobs. 54% unemployment for jobs. 74% youth unemployment. People that are aged 16 to 34, 35. We've got a 40% graduate unemployment. People with tertiary qualifications that don't have a job. And of the people that have jobs, the average wage is 3,500, 3,600 rand. What's the solution to that? I think our government debt is sitting at over 2 trillion rand. How do you get rid of that? How will you sort out the 350 to 400 billion rand that Eskom owes? How will you fix Eskom? As the DA, how will you fix Eskom? And if you have a solution for Eskom, why have you not tabled it and pushed it in government, in parliament? And if you haven't, are you telling the people out there, guys, we have a solution for Eskom, and the only people holding us back from resolving it is the ANC government? Otherwise, you'd all have power. There would be no load shedding. It's 6:15 now. At 8 o'clock this evening, I won't have power for 2.5 hours. The one thing almost all of us can agree on is the ANC has not delivered on its promises, and it is failing people in a major way, failing even the poor. They steal money with their mates through tenders. Some of the money that's intended to go and build stuff gets stolen. We've seen stadiums that what was meant to be a stadium built with millions. Small patch of grass there, money stolen. We've seen schools that haven't been built, schools that don't have flushing toilets, grandmothers, grandfathers that have been waiting for close to 30 years for a free house that they were promised. Small businesses that are not being given funding because they're not connected, because they haven't been educated correctly on how to be financially literate and be able to put together a business plan, be able to get funding. Potholes. Transnet. SAA has been sold by Pravin Gordhan. The SABC is constantly bailed out with billions. Again, grants, because we can't create jobs for people and give them dignity so that they can build their own homes, feed their own kids, pay for their own medication, treated like children. A dependent state, as Mcebo Dlamini said in an interview, I think it may have been on ENCA and also on Newsroom Africa. The ANC government has created a dependency state where the black masses, to sleep in shelter, they need the ANC government. For their children to eat and be educated, they need the ANC government. For their kids to get tertiary education, they need the ANC government. For them to get blankets, the ANC government. For them to get a grant to buy food, the ANC government. Treated like children with no dignity, no pride, no ability to do for self. December's coming and the ANC is having its national conference. We don't know what's going to happen. Gayton McKenzie believes if Cyril wins, which he might, because we've seen with Phala Phala money that he's got money bags for days to bribe people to vote for him. The DA never called Cyril out, by the way, in Parliament. Appointed all the cabinet ministers under Cyril's government, but they will never blame Cyril. Why? Are DA MPs also funded by Cyril Ramaphosa or by the same people that fund Cyril so that they never say anything bad about him? They never ask for Pravin to be axed. Never. Why? Is the DA complicit in running this country to the ground along with Cyril's ANC government? Gayton says if Cyril wins, the RET, Radical Economic Transformation faction of Jacob Zuma, Ace Magashule, Didi Mabuza, we don't know. They won't wait another 5 years to get into power, and they will form a breakaway party that will contest for the elections come 2024, and they might be willing to get into coalition with other parties so that they can get power and seats. He says if Cyril doesn't win come December, he believes the RET faction would get Cyril jailed for Phala Phala and other things that have happened. COVID money that disappeared. We don't know what's going to happen at the conference. It's coming. We're not sure. A lot of people are saying, but if not Cyril, then who? Didi Mabuza, Ace Magashule, Gwede Mantashe, Lindiwe Sisulu, Zweli Mkhize. Who will the ANC put in power? And why? And is that person going to be a good enough voice to get people to vote come 2024? Or is the ANC going to rely on what they've done in the past? Filling up stadiums, giving out free t-shirts, giving people Streetwise 2, and paying all your biggest favorite artists, amapiano, hip-hop, house, to come and entertain you guys so that you're in this false state of euphoria, so that come election day, you're voting ANC again. Pumping money into documentaries that are playing on SABC 1, pumping ads on all the 18 SABC radio stations to tell you about the atrocities of apartheid and how black people struggled and how the white man is bad. The one thing I've been trying to push through my social media platforms and everywhere else where I get a stage is trying to get people to be more hands-on in their own lives and in their own lived reality. Forgetting about government and politics and saying, how can I solve my problems? South Africa, in effect, is just a piece of land. Yes, it's a piece of land that's governed by a constitution, governed by a political government, and then there's business people, and then there's religious leaders. But it's a piece of land, and within your own home, you can run your home like a country. You can create your own mini Eskom, have solar panels with batteries, use normal batteries. I don't know if you can do nuclear on a small scale. Use a UPS inverter and use various ways to power your home, energy-wise. You can grow your own food. If you speak about food security, you can grow your own food in your yard and say, I have potatoes, I have tomatoes, I have green peppers, I've got fruit trees, avocado, peaches, bananas. So I have food security, and I have my own chickens that lay eggs. I maybe have goats, I maybe have sheep, I maybe have cows, pigs. Which is another reason why the land discussion is so sensitive, because it's like, but I can't have a piece of this country until I have a piece of land. I can't be independent and have dignity until I have a piece of land. So I want my own piece of land so that I can have dignity. I can take care of myself. I can run my home like a mini country, and I can build a strong fence so that illegal foreigners can't get into my home. And by illegal foreigners, I'm not talking about people from outside South Africa. I'm talking about anyone who's unwanted. I don't care who it is. It can be a South African. It can be my own family. If you're not welcome here, and I didn't give you a visa, chief, and a permit to visit me, you are illegal. But I've got a nice fence. I've got some dogs. They will fucking chew you up. So I have a strong fence around my house. I mean, Oranya's shown the power of a strong fence. Those of you who live in complexes, who live in estates that have security-controlled, remote-controlled access, security that's patrolling, you see the power of a strong fence and how you feel safe within this enclosed space. That's what people wanted for South Africa. You can do it in your own yard. So now you've got power, now you've got food security, now you've got a strong fence, and you can set your own rules in your own home. You can home educate your kids. Teach them how to fix a car. Teach them how to do basic plumbing and electrical work. Teach them how to grow their own food. Teach them how to code. I mean, you can set up your own internet in your home. Teach them how to code, how to program, to make videos like I'm making a video now, and own your destiny and connect with the rest of the world. And look, South Africa's falling apart, but my home is a first world country. I am leading in my home. We are secure. We are energy secure. We have the internet, we have communication, and we make sure that we get the latest and the best and the most unfiltered news possible. We are in good health. My kids are well educated, and we are capable, and we are armed. It's another very important thing, making sure that you have superior weapons in your home, the guns that you have, any other types of bombs and weapons. Very important to ensure a secure home. Land. So I've been trying to push people to be independent of mind and to say, look, you don't even have to do it on your own. You can look at Orania. How can you do it as a community? And strong fencing. Let's have some neighborhood watch, some patrols, some people patrolling. Let's see if we can set up solar, have a little solar farm within our community. Let's see if we can have a little community garden in our community and make sure that we have food. Let's make sure that we have businesses here, and we are an export community. We export more than we import. If you look at a town like Stellenbosch as an example, they are an export town. They export more than they import. They export their wine because they have wine farms. Around them, you've got your Capitex. Around the same Cape Town, you've got your Woolworths, you've got your Pick n Pays. All the head offices, PSG, are there. So they bring in more money into Stellenbosch than they send out. And if you live in a poor township, you guys send out more money than you bring in. You are an import community. The companies that operate within your kasi are companies that are not domiciled in your kasi. You are sending money to Cape Town, to Johannesburg, to Durban. That's what Orania was trying to achieve, and people were meant to learn from that. And when I speak about Orania, narrow-minded black... Sorry, my YouTube is starting, and I don't know if it's trigger words that I'm using. But I've spoken for a good 26 minutes, so I think that's pretty cool. Even if it cuts now, I'm happy. We need to learn from Orania. We need to learn from AfriForum. We need to learn, as much as I may not fully agree with their stance, from Operation Tutula. We need to learn from people that are doing for themselves. We need to learn from people that are showing the power of solving your own problems without government. So that once you can solve your own problems, by the time you have to vote, by the time you have to get into government, you understand what it means to fix your own potholes, to cut your own grass, to build your own schools, to grow your own food. You know exactly what that means, educating your own children. So when a politician comes to sell you dreams, you're like, no, that's not how it works. You're lying. You know how it works because you've done it. There are so many things we need to resolve, man. And I'm just worried. Don't even know if I'm worried. Some of the rich white people I've spoken to have said, if the ANC wins in 2024, they will leave South Africa. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I'm scared because the one thing holding South Africa up currently is debt, especially foreign debt. If the IMF, the World Bank, maybe the BRICS Bank, and other foreign debt holders stop giving South Africa money, what then? Once you can't bail out Eskom, what then? Once you can't raise loans for social grants for the 30 million South Africans, it's 29.3 million, what then? Then it's going to be Sri Lanka. Then it's going to be the July 2021 riots times 100 everywhere. It's one of the reasons people of the Western Cape want to create an independent Western Cape. They want to do what I was saying. They want to build a border around their community, but their community is not their home. It's not their neighborhood. It's their province, the DA province of the Western Cape, an independent Western Cape, because they believe they can run it better. And as I said, a lot of them are export. They're an export province. Cape Town is a very wealthy province because PEP, which has got over 2,500 stores in Southern Africa, is in Cape Town, the head office. Capitec, head office is in Cape Town. Woolworths, Pick n Pay, PSG, like I said, PSG owns Curro, Capitec. They used to have Pioneer Foods. I'm not sure if they're still under there. Techie Town, a lot of big companies, their head offices are in the Western Cape. I'm not even speaking about the wine farms there that are exporting to the rest of the world. I believe, I stand to be corrected, but maybe Johan Rupert's Remgro, which has its fingers in so many companies in this country, head office is in Cape Town. So if they close off Cape Town, they will become probably a wealthier country than the rest of South Africa. You might find that some of the big mines in South Africa, their head offices are in the Western Cape. What happens when this country collapses? Will Pennywell the Black Pen leave? Why would I stay here and fight for a majority of black people that have become lazy, have become entitled, believe that the ANC is their mom and their dad that'll feed them, who, when you speak to them about taking ownership of their lives, they bash you. They call you privileged. They call you a white puppet. They call you a cheese boy. It's because I live in the suburbs. I live in the suburbs because my mom worked hard to move from the rural areas. She worked for over 35 years as a school teacher so that we can move to the suburbs. Isn't that what all of you guys want? I am privileged not because I had a white father, because my grandfather was an apartheid beneficiary. I'm privileged because my mom worked hard, waking up every morning to go and catch taxis to go and teach Elokshini so that she can earn money so that we can have a better life, so that I can speak good English. While you judge my good English, I have good English because at school I applied myself. I studied, I got good marks. I went to varsity and I studied. I wasn't going to clubs. I wasn't getting drunk. I wasn't busy with girls. I was studying and I was working hard. Even now, in my privilege, I still travel around the country and I visit squatter camps and I visit townships and I try to do charity work. And I try to connect with the poorest of the poor to find solutions. But I'm privileged. And those are the people I must stay in this country and fight for. That are going to go loot shops in the township. And then after those shops have been looted and have been burnt, instead of building their own shops, they will then catch taxis to go and buy from the shops in town, where they couldn't loot because the white people and the Indians had guns to make sure they don't loot. I must fight for the same black people who vote for the same government, which is destroying state-owned enterprises. The same government which doesn't care about you. You guys have a billionaire president. DA politicians, I don't really like the DA. DA politicians are not billionaires with game farms who are busy at auctions for buffalo. DA politicians don't have huge BEE shares somewhere. They focused on governance and working and serving and being public servants. But I can point at so many ANC politicians who are rich, big stomachs, some of their tender friends, they give them brown envelopes. These people live in mansions. I must fight for the people that vote for those people. When Ubantu Bigo was killed, there was no retaliation. When Robert Sobukwe died, there was no retaliation. When Chris Hani was assassinated, no retaliation. When the real puppets of apartheid beneficiaries and white monopoly capital became leaders in the ANC, no retaliation. When your favorite, Jacob Zuma, Ubaba, Mshini Wami, when he was arrested for contempt of court in a warped Zondo commission, no retaliation. I must stay in this country and I must fight for those people who, when I've been trying to serve them and educate them, call me names. I'm a white puppet. I'm captured by your Rob Hersoff. I'm detached from the realities of the poor. My grandmother lived in rural areas where when I would visit, I would ngankaka in a long drop. Sasibasa isibani so paraffin. Sasambe siyothenga amalahle so that the stove, samalahle, a cold stove. Sikwazi ukubeka iayino, sikwazi ukuayina, sikwazi ukufutmeza umuzi. Sikwazi ukupheka. Ngangiqhuba inkomo eWashbang kwahlathi ekuvukeni. Ngangilusa inkomo eMsinga, visiting my aunt there, Patience, may she rest in peace. And you have the audacity to call me privileged because instead of wallowing and sitting there, I decided to educate and uplift myself and live better. And because I've done that, I get bashed. And then I must then go fight for those people. Instead of when the whites leave, of course, they privilege the apartheid beneficiaries. When they leave, if this country collapses, when I decide to leave with them, I'm a sellout. Your leaders, Mandisa Mashiko said this, your leaders, Otabo Mbeki, all these guys, they went into exile. They weren't here with Tabo Mamwini fighting on the ground, being arrested, being tortured. They decided to leave to Tanzania, to go to America, to go to Europe. They said they were fighting the fight, but they were there having a good time. No one was attacking them. They went in the streets dealing with tear gas, dealing with police dogs, War pass. Those are the people that are in government today. Or Naledi Pando. And then I must stay here and I must fight. When I'm telling people, guys, pick yourselves up. Jengamapun, Abur Makaplan, Self-Dun, Juche in North Korea, doing for self. Black consciousness and the Black Panther program of self-sustenance. Do for self. Go and start a community garden. Learn how to home educate your kids. Use the internet. Start Stockfells for Wi-Fi. But I will get attacked. And I'm saying, I don't know what's going to happen in 2024. I don't even know who I should vote for because this whole system is broken. And I hate the South African Constitution. That the whole world applauds. Oh, what an amazing document. It's a bullshit document. It's a document that is created for idealistic conditions. You can't have a constitution that is built on idealism when the reality looks like something else. Democracy doesn't work when the majority of the population is politically illiterate. They don't know what they're voting for. But you're saying, but democracy is the best system. It's the best system for educated people. Democracy works for me because I understand politics. It doesn't work for my grandmother who doesn't know the duties of a ward councillor, how much a ward councillor gets paid. They don't know what an MEC and an MMC are. They don't know the duties of a mayor, how much the mayor gets paid. They don't know who's responsible for the potholes. They don't know the duties of a president, of a cabinet minister. They don't know how many ministers we have and the different roles. They don't know the national budget. They don't know the budget of education. They don't know that they're entitled to free basic education, free basic electricity from ESCOM if they can prove that they can't afford. They don't know that. They are politically illiterate. And that person is then expected to go and vote. And then they say, oh, this is democracy in action. That's not democracy in action. That's giving a dumb 5-year-old child a pen and saying, vote for a party you like. And then you vote for the party that gave you ice cream. Oh, I like them. They brought Espanol Vest. Oh, they brought Atamafokate. Oh, they brought Focalistic. Oh, they brought my fave. Pearl Tusi was the MC. Oh, come on, say. It's not what political literacy is. You're giving blind, dumb people a pen, which is like a loaded gun, to vote for idiots. But what do I know? I'm a keyboard warrior. Our pen, babam see no YouTube. They're not doing work on the ground. I can't even speak about the work we're doing on the ground because some of you guys are out there to destroy. And if I tell you, some of our work will get disrupted. That's why a lot of rich black business people don't want to be known because they've seen what happens when you get seen. Destroyed by your own people. Entrepreneurs that kill each other. Other black people that come and break into your business. That go and tell other people, this guy's making money, let's go and steal his car. So rather don't tell people, drive a dirty Bucky, drive my Toyota Tez, look like a guy who's kind of struggling, and just carry on about your business. Because what's the point of people knowing you're rich? What's the point of people knowing that something that was fixed there was done by you? Because now they know that you're connected. Now they know that you have influence on certain budgets. Now people want to get closer to you because they're like, Pen, I'm Tolele attend. And I'm like, I'm not going to give you a tender. You don't do good work. I'll only refer people to you if I see that you're passionate about service and about doing work. I'm not here for people that are money hungry. You love money. You don't love service, and this country needs service. An intelligent white gentleman in one of the WhatsApp groups said, a lot of the white people don't understand why the black majority loved Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma so much. And what he grew to learn is that the people love a rebel with a cause. Jacob Zuma looked like he was a rebel, of course. Some of the things he was doing may have looked illegal, unconstitutional, but he was rebelling. And it looked like he was rebelling on behalf of the black masses. It's the same thing that happens when Julius Malema speaks. People feel him resonating within their soul. It's what happened even with the DA when a Herman Mashaba started speaking about getting rid of illegal foreigners, where the DA wasn't even liked before. People were like, but I like Mashaba. This guy says the things I want to hear. He's a rebel with a cause. It's what we're seeing now with Gayton McKenzie. a rebel, an ex-convict, but with a cause. And he was saying, can you point currently to the DA, to Action SA as an example, outside of Herman Mashaba and all these other parties, can you point to a rebel with a cause there that you can then sell to the people to vote? I am voting for the DA because of that guy or that lady who speaks truth to power, who says we need to eradicate this, we need to move that. You don't have that. And then you'll be surprised why the same people keep voting for these people. And it's one of the reasons why the masses are so disconnected to Cyril. Cyril's not a rebel with a cause. He looks like a messenger and a servant for rich white people. That's why they don't connect with him. That's why, again, this political game is a sham. If the South African masses could vote for their own president, it would not be Cyril Ramaphosa. I can almost put R1,000,000 on that. Cyril Ramaphosa would not be president of this country if every single South African could get to vote for who they want to be president. If South Africans can vote for who gets to sit in parliament as a member of parliament, an MP, 80% of those people would not be there. Because I can tell you now, the ordinary South African doesn't know over 80% of the MPs sitting in parliament right now. They don't know them. If I were to show them a picture of 200 of those MPs, they'd be like, Uba Amanjido, who's this? Aibo. They don't know them. They wouldn't vote for them. If you got South Africans to vote directly for the ministers, who should be the Minister of Education? Who should be the Minister of Arts and Culture? Who should be the Minister of Land Affairs? They wouldn't vote for all of those people sitting there. So that's not democracy. And that's not the will of the people. When a person votes ANC, they're voting for a grant for an RDP. And then they get Fikile Mbalula, Bheki Cele, Naledi Pandor, Pravin Gordhan, Cyril Ramaphosa. That's not what I voted for. I voted for a grant, not for this clown. Until the DA, the PA, Freedom Front Plus, IFP, EFF, who am I forgetting? The PAC maybe, Action SA, until they learn to speak to the people on the ground in a way that the people on the ground will understand and get them to voice their concerns and get true answers on their concerns. Please tell us, DA, I'm currently getting a 350 Rand social relief for distress grant. My brother is disabled. He gets a over 1,000 Rand grant for disability. My parents are old. They get an old age grant, a pension. I live in an RDP with 5 of my family members. My cousin currently at university with NSFAS. My kids are at a no-fee school and they eat there. Some of my cousins have got HIV, so they get ARVs from the clinic for free. When we're sick, we get medicine from the clinic for free. In the township that I live in, we now have tarred roads that didn't exist during apartheid. Now there's tarred roads. Some of the trains we get on, some of the buses we get on are subsidized by government. So I also get free Wi-Fi at the library, at some of the schools. So DA, please tell me, if I vote for you, will you take away any of those things? Yes or no? And be honest. If you won't take away those things, how can you secure that we'll keep getting those things? How will you make sure that my other brother who's a tenderpreneur will still get a tender? How will you make sure that my sister keeps getting funding from the NYDA, the NEF, CIFA? Will you not take all of those things away? How will you make sure that the land redistribution, which has given, I think, over 2 million hectares in South Africa, given it to black people, how will I make sure that you guys not only protect that program, but accelerate it? Are you guys doing that currently in the Western Cape? Have you fixed Khayelitsha, Gugulethu, Langa, Nyanga? Even in Johannesburg, now that you've taken over Johannesburg, hey, well done, Sanbongela, but what have you done for Alexandra? What have you done for Diepsloot? What have you done for Tembisa? So I can see that you are actually serious about fixing the problems on the ground. Or will you only want us to celebrate the suburban Cape Town But if we're celebrating the suburban Cape Town, then the ANC can celebrate Sandton. The ANC can celebrate Umhlanga. Those are rich neighborhoods where the rich people, they can hire private security, where they can hire black people to cut their grass, where they have neighborhood watch, where they can fix their own things, where they live in estates that are closed. So even if there are potholes in that estate, the body corporate takes care of it. Why must we celebrate and applaud that? EFF, you want to remove the borders, and already we are struggling with foreigners here who are running businesses, who are selling, who are cutting hair, who are being hired as waiters and waitresses in shops, who are working in certain spaces, who are working as builders for construction companies. And you guys want to remove the border so that these people can come in here. How are you protecting us as South Africans who are supposed to vote for you? Because these illegal foreigners that are here, they can't vote for you, but we vote for you. Why must we vote for you when you want to remove the borders? How will you protect us? Because we live with these people and we're already cramped, and we in squatter camps with these people. Ninabo Julius, we live in nice houses. Nama MP. You guys get 100,000 a month. Your kids go to private schools. Julius, as much as you can say you grew up in poverty and you understand, how long have you been living out of poverty? How long have you been living the good life? Where you get to go to Ibiza with rich white people, your friends. These are your friends. I don't have rich white friends, Malima. My only friends are poor people. So why must I vote for you? Because you wear an overall in parliament. But then after your overall, you wear expensive foreign clothing. You guys are not wearing local brands. You're not promoting local brands. Why must we vote for you? What are you doing for us, Malima? Are you championing land redistribution for the people? Are you fighting some of the causes for black people on the ground? What did you do when we were rioting last year? Was the EFF on the ground helping us, or were they part of the people that were looting? Action SA, Herman Mashaba. How can you confirm to us that you guys are not a breakaway of the DA and that you were actually sent by the DA to create a fictional party that looks like it's not DA, but it's actually DA? And the same people that fund the DA fund Action SA. And some of the leaders in the Action SA are actually DA leaders. How do we know that it's not the same thing? How do we know that you're just not another puppet for the DA through Action SA? What have you done, Herman Mashaba, since you left the city of Joburg as mayor? What have you done on the ground to show us besides a campaigner? What work have you done that you can show us? How can you educate the normal man on the street to understand what governance means, what a public administrator is? Why, if you vote for the Freedom Front Plus, Home Affairs will be more efficient? What will the Freedom Front Plus do differently in ESCOM? Will they fire all the people that are there, largely black people? Where will those black people go? Will they switch off grants? What must happen to those black people that are living on grants? Speak to the people in a language they understand. I need you guys want them to vote for you. If your only argument is vote against the ANC, look at what they've done. Okay, I won't vote for the ANC. I can see load shedding, sure. But why must I vote for you? Why must I vote for you? Some of these white people I'm engaging become so sad because I think I understand the different worlds. I understand the poor blacks and the psychology. I understand the lower to middle class, the teachers, the nurses, and some of their pains and stresses. They want higher wages, whatever. I understand the upper middle class blacks, you know, the bankers and the engineers and the lawyers and the doctors and some of their pains. I understand rich black people, rich white people, and some of their pains as well. But it seems like none of these people understand each other. And when you listen to some of these white people, middle class, upper middle class, rich white people, they have no cooking clue the psychology of a poor black person. They sit with a few upper middle class blacks, Penwell, sit with Musi, sit with Vusi, Tembekwayo, and they're like, oh, But Vusi was explaining and Musi was saying like, hey, Baba, hey, Baba, hey, Baba. Hamba uvuka emkhukhwini baba. Kho gesi. Guys are complaining about load shedding. Laphana ukho gesi. Never mind load shedding. It's total blackout. Man, you wash in that container fucking toilet thing that umasipala comes and it takes once a month, once a week. Bazofaka chemical. I walk. Ngisakhuluma ngama-third road, ngisakhuluma ngama-potholes, akho mgwaqo la. La akho mgwaqo. Every other day there are people killing each other here. Every other day there's a shack that's burning, and when one shack burns, gusha 10 other shacks because they're so on top of each other. Abantu bashanya upe every amachira ya rape every day here. Khona amachira dayisa ngomzimba kodwa siyana ngculaza. We know they have AIDS, but people are sleeping with them. Uzongitshela to understand that psychology. And then when as a white person I'm gonna come here with the Mercedes Benz, hand out a few food packs. Hey guys, remember to vote for the DA, they're a better party. Who do we hate? We hate the ANC, right? We don't want the ANC. The emotional and psychological trauma of apartheid. Today they attack some of these black people openwell that speak good English. Uthi ningazosithumela openwell ayikho abazitshela yona labo. Hayi sebephila nabelungu. Ba capture bama ngamabhanoyi. Badlo lezanya no sushi. Yini upenwell azongitshela yona? Ngokwazi ukukhuluma isiZulu sekumele imlalela angidakela. We don't understand the psychology of these people, and you guys want them to just, as politically illiterate as they are, as financially and economically illiterate as they are, as angry as they are, as poor as they are, as sick as they are, as drugged up as they are, as drunk as they are, you want them to have the rationality and logic to understand why it's important to vote for the DA, why it's important to vote for the Patriotic Alliance. Hey guys, we've got problems. We've got problems. It's like when you speak to men and you try to get them to understand women's issues, and you realize there's a huge disconnect. And then you try to speak to women and get them to understand the stresses and strain that men are under, and they're telling you, oh, are men being raped every day? Are men being beaten every day? Are men scared to walk in the streets because someone might touch them inappropriately? Which men are you talking about that are under pressure? The men that have to raise kids on their own as single parents because the father's drunk somewhere, who shy sports betting. Those men. The men who come home drunk but shy. You talk about those men, they're under pressure and strain. Oh, men are under so much pressure from the world. The men abahlulwa abelungu. Njoba sihlupheka namhlanje siwomama abamnyama. Ingoba amadoda ethu ahlulwa abelungu. Basuka la bayosebenza emayini, mabesuka emayini bathola izifebe omahosha that they impregnated, and then they started setting up also Soweto, no Tembisa, and all these fucking rubbish castles that they set up with their fucking hosts. Basishiya thina emakhaya sihlupheka. Silambile nengane. Sayixosha thina sihamba siyosebenza emafemini, sihamba sayosebenza emaplazini, sihamba sayoba wogeli. Namhlanje sesiphakamisile sayifundisa saba othisha, onesi, odokotela, saba osomabhizinisi. And you're telling me today that as a black woman, I must listen to, black men are under so much pressure. The same men abafika bazocela umlungu, hey mlungu, anything mlungu wami, hey please, job. Hambani nani amadoda amnyama. Angithi amadoda abelungu, they went and they built the businesses for their white women. Amadoda amaSulmane, the Muslims, they went and they built business for their women. Amadoda amaChina have built businesses for their women. Nina amadoda amnyama yini enihlulayo nina? Nize nihlula amaNigerian, nihlula amaGhanaian, nihlula amaZimbabwean, nihlula abaseMalawi, nihlula abantu baseLesotho. Mase nizofuna thina the black woman that you beat, that you rape, ukuthi sinizwele. There's such a huge disconnect. We are not understanding each other in the slightest. And when I get on platforms and I try to speak on the other side, no guys, but I think people get angry. Yo, Penal, you're just ruffling feathers. Why would you say something reckless like that? I'm like, reckless? Are you fucking mad? What I'm saying is reckless. When I tell you that women are under pressure and you tell me, yo, you just these feminized men want to defend women. These women, very, they hoes. They fucking selling bombs on Instagram and they just want e-wallets. You know, we've lost the caliber of our moms. Hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. At times, I wish I could just stop caring, stop being an empath and having a soft spot, and stop understanding the white Afrikaner who's scared and who feels they need to get a gun and learn how to fight because they don't know at which point black people might revolt. So they need to learn to protect themselves. The colored person who is not white enough because white people don't like him, who's not black enough because black people don't like coloreds, who's like, hey, near fuck, man, fuck the blacks and fuck the whites. I'm just gonna be with my own kind, bruh. Just gonna be with the brainos. These fucking whites, these Vitos don't like us and the blacks. I speak about non-racialism because I'm privileged and I've transcended race and I understand all these different aspects. And yet, even with the people that I understand, they refuse to understand other people. And some of them will try and use me as a scapegoat. Yeah, but Penal said, I'm like, yeah, Baba, I don't represent black people. Don't fucking go stand on a podium and say, yeah, but Penal and I are mates. I don't represent poor black people, Baba. Don't use me as a fucking representative. And then when black people are going to be like, yeah, but Penal said the white people, hey. I can't speak for white people. And I definitely don't speak for white racists. Those are some idiotic, lost people who also need savior and help. I wish I could switch off and I wish I could leave the country and go to a first world city and just go and live well. Take my kids, go to a first world country, go to Tokyo, go to Dubai, go to Toronto, go to New York, go to Los Angeles, go to London, go to Geneva. Just live well and become the best version of myself. He's not a sellout, but like move like Trevor Noah. Not Black Coffee's got a home in Los Angeles. Vusi Tembewayo spends a lot of his time in Dubai. I mean, am I not trying to be the best version of myself? Why am I wasting so much time trying to convince white racists on the plight of the poor black masses? Why am I wasting so much time trying to get ordinary black people to understand the mindset and the psychology of white people? And that not all white people are racist. The majority of white people are not rich. They live paycheck to paycheck. They are struggling just like you. Yes, they may not earn the average salary of the average black person, but it's obviously because of apartheid, but it's also because they're a small group. 8% white, 80% black. The 8% whites have got an 11,000 Rand average wage. The average black is earning a 3,500 Rand average. Obviously, when you compare these, it's going to look bad with the majority. My question is, why are you not comparing this 8% white to the top 8% black? So now we can actually see, these white people are actually much richer than these 8% black. We speak about equality, but even within our own families, we don't have equality. Within your own extended family, and mind you, we all come from the same apartheid, poverty. Our grandparents were living in Makaya, our parents grew up in Lokshini. Why am I making money? Why have I moved to Fertile Earth in Joburg? Why are you still stuck in the township, in the rural areas? Even within our own families, we are not equal. And it's easy for you to bash a white person, but look at me. I'm living like a white person, but I come from the same background as you. And then you can be like, but when I'm I can point at so many people, especially the immigrants that are in this country, not well educated, don't know how to speak good English like Upenwen, they don't have good connections like maybe I do, but they get up every day and they work. They're not complaining. You don't see a guy from Malawi saying, hey, you know, the president in Malawi and the what. The guy's waking up every day and is working. That same black Malawian guy is getting the same racist tendencies from white people in this country. But he works and he pulls himself up. Same system, worse than you. You've got a grant, you've got a SAID, so you can go and get funding that is isolated for Black South Africans. You can get an RDP, but you're lazy and you're entitled. That's why if I became president, I would destroy grants. Grants have destroyed the ability of a Black South African to do for self. I have a very loving mother, Umamsi. Mamsi, I love her with all my heart. She loves me. My mom is still teaching to this day. She's still working to this day. Her 3 kids are grown. We can kind of do for self, but she, just like me, loves the Koreans, loves the Japanese, and believes we will work until we die. We don't believe in retirement. We will work until we cannot work physically anymore. My mom earns money. It's her money. I don't want it. Spoils my kids, her grandkids every now and then. She spoils my brother's kids every now and then. My sister is busy doing her master's. She spends some of that money on her. My mom is constantly wanting to give me money, and I'm like, no, no thanks. Number one, I own a penis, which means I'm a man. A man must get up and do for self. Number two, I don't want to rely on my mother. My mind, my being, my personality refuses to leech off my mother, who is happily willing to do things for me. I'm like, no, I must have pride and dignity and do for myself. I must. I drive a Toyota Tazz. I will tell you guys a story soon on why I still drive a Toyota Tazz instead of driving a nice Mercedes-Benz or the BMW 320 I used to drive in the past. I'll explain to you what happened in my life. My mom would like to give me money, get a better car. I don't deserve a better car right now. Allow me to get myself a better car once I've resolved my own things in my life. I need to find my own dignity. I need to be comfortable to stand for myself. And I'm trying to raise my kids to be the same. And I'm watching so many other people raising their kids to be beggars. I visit extended cousins. You can see that the kids are sent. The kids are, Malum Penuel, Malum Penuel. Who's teaching you to be a beggar? We're not teaching kids to be like, Malum Penuel, ngifuna ukusebenza nawe. Malum Penuel, ngicela ungifundise ukutshala. Malum Penuel, ngifuna ukufana nawe, ngifuna ukwakha, ngifuna come work with me. Come ask me to help you acquire skills. Don't ask for handouts. I hate that. I hate beggars for that reason. If you cannot survive in this money world, which is rigged, of course it's rigged. Not just in South Africa, but in the whole world, it's rigged. It's easy here because white people live better off. The blacks are poor. Go to Europe, go to America, go to Asia and see poor people. See poor people that look the same as the rich people and understand that the capitalism system is rigged. If you cannot survive in this capitalist world, go and live like a primitive person and go and grow your own food and live an agrarian subsistence lifestyle, similar to our grandparents. Idiots on Twitter, yeah, Peno, why don't you do it first? Because I'm winning in this money world, idiot. Come on, man. I don't need to do it. I'm saying it for the people that are struggling here. Go and find your dignity. Go and plant some food. Go and plant some trees. Trees sprout fruit throughout the year. Lemons, oranges, peaches, plums, grapes throughout the year. Why are you going hungry? Emakasi, why are you not planting fruit trees? You've got a bigger mindset. How much are this lambi? Mangideza lo 50 rand. Ngifuna uyothenga izinkukhu ezizozala amaqanda. Uzodla amanye amaqanda, amanye uzowayeka ukuthi azale izinkukhu. Ube nezinkukhu. Solve problems. Instead, it's easy to bash me because you have such a peanut brain and you're such a victim of everything. Everything is someone else's fault. Everything is someone else's fault. And the whole world must feel sorry for you. The poorest people that have come to this country and pulled themselves up must feel sorry for you. Come on, man. That's pathetic. The one thing I want to do is I want to remove myself from people that whine every single day. You're living to complain. You're obsessed and addicted to complaining. When I give you a solution, you've got a problem for every solution. Oh, you should plant a tree. I don't have money for seeds. Okay, here's money for seeds. I don't have money to go to town to go. Okay, here's the tree. Hey, where am I going to get water to water the tree? Where am I going to get fertilizer? How? But your trees died. Yeah, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the son of the Virgin Mary. Aye, Baba. Mark me absent, ma'am. I'm not present. I'm not there. I'm absent, ma'am. Don't look at me, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm not here, ma'am. I don't want to be part of that WhatsApp group. Destructive WhatsApp group. Let me shut this video down. I've got 1 hour till load shedding fix. I want to read some of your comments. I hope YouTube will sort this thing out with some of these comments on the live chat. Stay on in the normal comments. Probably not going to get through all of them, and I'm not going to read them because I don't think there's time. But I appreciate all of you that were on this live. Appreciate all of you that commented. I appreciate all of you that are starting to get it. We need to work. We need to get to work. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save me. I need to work. You guys can join my religion, penalism, because that's what I preach. Doing for self. What is penalism going to do for me? Are you going to give me money? No. I'm going to teach you how to do for self. It's as simple as that. It's really as simple as that. And that's what's going to make me your God. Some of these comments, man. Would you run as an independent candidate? I don't like the political system because I think it's broken. And until the political system has been sorted, I don't want to go and swim in the mud with the pigs. I don't. I'd rather work from the outside. And if I can, I'd like to raise enough money so that I can influence politicians. That would be a better use of my time and a better use of my intelligence. Just watched that interview you had with Rob, and I must say it felt like I was watching a DA campaign. Rob Ersof loves the DA. That's what he believes in. DJ Sbu interviewed Panyaza Lesufi. I couldn't make it on that day because I was sick and I'd lost my voice. That would have maybe sounded like an ANC campaign. Duduzane Zuma was campaigning for himself. He's still an ANC member. You could have said that sounds like an ANC campaign. We interviewed Herman Mashaba. That could have sounded like an Action SA campaign. I interviewed Gayton McKenzie. That could have sounded like a Patriotic Alliance campaign. You know, if you listen to and you watch a lot of my content, I allow people to say their piece. You know, I might have my own opinions, which are mine, but people are allowed to say their piece and why. And if some people believe, oh, that means you're on this side, you're on that side, it means you either don't know me or you have a small brain. And unfortunately, I don't have time for people with small brains, man. They must get it as far away from me as possible and go to their pastor and their politician and whoever feeds them and leave me alone. I'm not here for them. No thanks. Is there a country that doesn't have corrupt politicians though? If you go to the US, you would hear the same. Almost every country's got corruption. The difference is the extent of the corruption and how it affects the people on the ground. So other countries may be corrupt, but they don't have gang potholes. Other countries may be corrupt, but they don't have electricity issues like us. Other countries may be corrupt, but they don't have the crime rates that we have. Other countries may be corrupt, but their politicians actually care and they do their work. And they're not just singing and dancing and talking rubbish to confuse their people and make them dizzy. I'd love to see you, Nhlanhla Lux, Vusi Thembiwa, and other young people running in 2024, the following national elections. I just want to say, guys, politics is not the only solution. There's civil organizations like AfriForum, there's groups like Operation Tutula. Like I said, part of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get people to set up community groups where they put their hands up and they solve their own problems. outside of government. If there's a hole in the road, how can you guys close that hole? If there's crime in your area, how do you fence your area and have neighborhood watch? If there's grass that's not being cut in your area, how can you get a stock fell, buy machines and cut grass? A lot of people have turned politicians and government into God. The only solution is from government. It's not. There's life outside of government. You can solve your problems outside of government. So it cannot be that every leader that you like has to be a politician. Some of us are not going to be politicians. What I chose to be is a leader of a belief system, Penalism. You can call it a religion, you can call it a movement, you can call it whatever you want. But I'm trying to unlock the minds of people so that a politician doesn't take advantage of them, so that a pastor doesn't take advantage of them, so that some businessman is not taking advantage of them, so that they can think for themselves and they can solve their own problems. Sibonelo, I'm sorry to say this, but there's really no hope for South Africa, my brother. There is an argument there's no hope for South Africa in general. But I can tell you now that there's hope for certain neighborhoods, for certain towns, for certain cities, and arguably for certain provinces. And you need to position yourself to be in the right family, to be in the right neighborhood, to be in the right space. So that at any given time, if the country collapses, you guys are good. Orania right now is going fully off-grid. They have set up solar panels to make sure that they don't rely on Eskom. So if Eskom collapses, they will have power, as an example. There are neighborhoods that are growing their own food. So once the shops have been looted and there's no food, there are neighborhoods where there will be food. And at any given time, if you are part of the community, part of the family, part of the neighborhood that is winning, and this country falls into a civil war, you guys will come up with solutions to get airplanes, whatever the case may be, and you guys will fly out of the country and go to a safe place and do well there. And maybe stay there for good, or wait until the country calms down and then come back. You need to be solution-oriented, and you need to be around the right people who are solution-oriented so you can win. If this country collapses, be like, the country collapsed, but I'm fine, and my circle is fine. It's fundamentally important. Michael Ivan Mag, I will try create my own KwaZulu town here in Canada if South Africa won't change. You must invite us, Michael, so we can visit and come eat uputhu nenyama, sigide, sisine, silalela umaskandi in Canada. People are blissful in their ignorance. That's JCP 202 work. And you're right. And the one thing that I can tell you now is I am not trying to reach the masses. It's too much work. It's too much work. It will take too long. Our minds are too stuck, etc. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to reach the minds of the leaders, various leaders across political groups, across religious groups, across business segments. Because if I can get to the minds of the leaders, they will begin doing better work. And that'll filter down to the masses. It's really as simple as that. It takes good leaders in spaces. It takes you within your family to stand up in your family and say, I want to lead in this family, to change the family. Don't have to affect every single person. You in your family alone can become rich, build a business, invite the family to come and work, and educate them. Just you. So that's what I'm trying to do. So Mila Landu, the Stellies Mafia will not allow the country to slump that much. Just as a thought, Naspers, which is arguably the biggest company in South Africa, they've moved from being listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange to the exchange in the Netherlands, I think in Amsterdam. Afgri, as the biggest grain company, let's call it that way, on the continent, has been sold to Americans. Massmart, one of the biggest retailers in the country, has been sold to Walmart, which is American. A lot of the companies that you think are South African are now setting up headquarters elsewhere. So you might think that the Stellenbosch mafia won't allow, but you might find that some of their companies have already gone offshore, or they are invested offshore, or they'll just wait from overseas while things collapse and then come back and rebuild this country later when things have fallen apart. The sad thing for me, some of your favorite black politicians, if this country burnt, will again go into exile, even though it will have been their fault that this country will have collapsed. I wonder if Julius is willing to come to your podcast. I'm not really sure. I know that I have to do a better job of taking initiative. It's just I've got a lot of interviews lined up on the various platforms, but it would be nice to extend a hand to him and his team so that they come through and have a conversation. If not him, anyone else from the EFF leadership would be pretty awesome, because I'd like to chat to as many people as possible. If possible, as much as I'm not a fan of him and as much as I've bashed him on social media, it would be nice to sit down with Cyril Ramaphosa and some of the leadership in the ANC as well. You know, I have invited Aaron Motsoaledi to come and speak because I've had conversations with him in the past. I'm hoping at some point when he's less busy, he'll make time. I have invited Mcebo Dlamini as well. I need to extend a hand to him as well. He's still an ANC member as well, and he believes the ANC is still the party. It just needs to be fixed. So I'm going to try harder to get some of these people. DA members of parliament are far wealthier than ANC members of parliament. Stop the lies. That's Will X. Well, I'm happy to be wrong. If you can point me in the right direction, by all means. If you can show me all the DA politicians, especially those in parliament, and show me the ANC politicians in parliament, and show me how the DA politicians have got friends that get tenders, that give them brown envelopes, show me some of the businesses that they have, of which they were beneficiaries of black economic empowerment or beneficiaries of the apartheid government. I'm very happy for you to show me that so that I can say, you know what, you're right and I was wrong. As far as I know, when I look at some of the politicians, I'll just use Cyril as an example. Maybe Akwede, I know Thabo Mbeki and his wife have got wealth. Jacob Zuma and some of his associates have got wealth. I can't say the same of some of the DA politicians, maybe because I don't know them that well. If you know them well, by all means, teach us. You know, I'm not here to defend the DA. Like I said, I don't really like the DA for many reasons. But I'm just saying the DA looks like it's better in terms of governance and administration. That's all. I'm not saying vote for them. The ANC, I don't think, is good at governance and administration. And I think a lot of them have got money, which they've made. You've got Tokyo Sehwale, who's a billionaire. Cyril, past ANC members, Osaki Matlozoma, who I think was the treasurer. Maria Ramos, an ANC member as well. Trevor Manuel. These are rich ANC members. I can't say the same of the DA. If you can say it, by all means, teach us, school me. How does the stock file work for Wi-Fi? Kafu or Kafu, Makafula. All I'm basically saying is within a certain radius, try and speak to the people there, set up maybe a WhatsApp group, and then you guys can begin putting money together and then get fiber that allows for the radius. And then you guys can pay like one amount for unlimited, uncapped Wi-Fi to serve you guys. And it will work out much cheaper than if you're buying data or Wi-Fi by yourself. That's what I mean by a Wi-Fi stock file. People need to be educated about voter education. Political literacy is big, man, and I don't know how far I'm going to get, but I'm going to try and do my bit within the next 2 years. I'm not going to reach everyone, like I said, but if I can reach a few of you to get some of your parents to start understanding this thing, maybe within 10 to 20 years, we'll have a better understanding. And when a politician comes to your house, you will know if they're bullshitting or not. Number one, just as homework. What is the number of the ward you live in? What is your ward number? Who is your ward councillor? Just start with that. If you can get those two things, what's your ward number? What ward are you under? Who is your ward councillor? Then from there, I can ask you, does your ward councillor have a WhatsApp group? Can you join that WhatsApp group and find out what's happening in your area? Just start there. Then from there, the ward councillor will explain about municipality and some of the meetings they have and the local government and the budget there and how it feeds into the provincial government and how that feeds into national government. But just what ward are you in, the ward number, and who's your ward councillor? Challenge it up. Let everyone at least know that. Then we can start moving. Is that Oros? Now you want me to campaign for certain companies. It's an orange drink. Not going to promote this company because they're not paying me. They can go jump. But it's an orange drink. Can be whatever orange drink you like. Bloop. Maybe next time try opening a space on Twitter. I don't really like spaces on Twitter. I like my YouTube. I've got paying members here. I get paid through ads. These Twitter spaces are mostly for gossip and other nonsense. But I'm happy to join other people's spaces and maybe share some of my thoughts. Fifi, about 75% of people in Africa are young people, yet they are governed by the 60 plus years club rather, is what he or she said. Very sad. In places like Europe, the youth have placed themselves in a space to govern. If the 75% continue to sit back, their peers in Europe will pick up the baton and run Africa just as their fathers did. What's very important is to say, if you're looking for young leaders in the church, in business, in politics, they're not going to come from somewhere. They have to come from you. You need to go and join a political party. You need to go and go to branch meetings. You need to put your hand up and ask questions and volunteer to work. And you need to serve. It's not going to be someone else. It's going to be you. It has to be you. Otherwise, if it's not you, it's going to be the dumb, alcoholic, drunkard who wants tenders and who's not scared, who's going to become a young politician. And then you'll act shocked about, oh, but look at the caliber of our young leaders. You must lead. You are the caliber we need. So go get involved. Like Penn says, vote with your buck in mind. Vote with your money. Vote with your rand. Besides voting at the polls, who you give your money to is who actually runs the country. Because those are the people that fund the ANC, DA, Patriotic Alliance, Action SA. So be very strategic about who you give your money to. Andy Lentuli, that's why we need another CODESA 2, CODESA 2.0, so that we can understand each other's struggles. I know exactly what you're saying, Godpain. We don't understand each other's struggles. I was hoping I could be a bridge between different groupings of people, but it's getting difficult, man, and it's draining for me, especially when you get bashed by the different sides, and I'm like, but no one is actually paying me to do this work. What the hell am I doing? Tsepiso Toteti. When you switch to Zulu, fire emoji. Tagging yabonga Tsepiso. Ryan van der Merwe, Penuel the God. Thank you very much, Ryan. Bye, thank you, Ryan. Bloop. Johan Esterhazen says, stop swearing like that, you shithead. I'm hoping that's just a joke. Jeez. Anyways, Tsepi, so you love South Africa too much. I don't think I love South Africa. I love human beings in general. It just so happens that I live with the human beings around here. That's all it is. And I want to make an impact before I sell out and actually leave this country for good. I want to be like, I did my dues. I did my bit. When they say panels left, I'll be like, but guys, I did my bit now. You guys can't ask for me to come back. I did the best I could. It's time for me to leave. Uzwile says, go to LA and have your kids shot at schools every week. Don't buy into propaganda. Don't buy into propaganda. That's like saying go to a tavern and get shot. That's like saying if you go to a township, you might get killed. Yeah, be careful of media propaganda, man. Be very, very careful. Zugile, Taz is not good for your safety. Taz is probably one of the best cars ever made. The Toyota Taz. Shout out to the Japanese, man. One of the best cars ever made. I love it. I will always love it. And even when I move on to a better car, I'll always pay homage to the Toyota Tez. I've probably owned over 12 Tezs in my life. Jeez. But like I said, that's a story I'll tell you guys another day. That's a story I'll tell you. Suck it, Dolonga. Teachers are paid well, ne? I don't know if this is a jab because I said something like that on Twitter, but I probably will make another video about it. Why I think South African teachers are not underpaid, as some people would like you to think. Kafu or Kafu Makafula. You have one car? Yes, I currently have one car. Ryan van der Merwe sips Oros. It's tough times, living in a tough economy. One day I'll be sipping Hennessy in a nice glass. No, I'm joking. I don't drink alcohol. I don't believe in alcohol. I don't believe in cigarettes. I don't believe in weed. I don't believe in habli. I try to keep a very healthy body. Mbulelo Zulu, please have a call-in session once a week. And I think I do need to prioritize this. I just need to pick a day and a time where I go live. Maybe for at least an hour, for 30 minutes, where I go live for 30 minutes and then I welcome questions that I will then maybe answer. And I think the other thing that people have asked of me is that I set up Zoom meetings so that we can engage. The problem is Zoom can be very destructive, very messy, and I need to find a way to monetize Zoom so that it's worth my time to be on that platform. So yeah. Sibusiso Mhlanga, we are working, Baba, we are working. Sibusiso ngiyabonga kakhulu mfethu. Please don't stop working. Doesn't matter if the country is burning, it doesn't matter if your politicians are corrupt, it doesn't matter if other people are lazy. It does a lot for you individually if you're still working, if you still believe in hard work, if you still believe in adding value. It becomes a difference as time goes on, I promise you that. Advocate Precious, Danko for the evening lecture. Thank you very much, Precious. Hope you're enjoying your time in Rustenburg. Sichaba Forteng, broken. I have your number so we can talk money. Go on my social media platforms. DM me so I can find out what it is that you're looking for, and then I'll plug you to the right email address for us to chat. Zugile, have you considered being a poet like Mzwak? No. I've got my own issues with poetry. We'll speak about it another time. Zugile, have you applied for residency in Orania? I wouldn't live in Orania. I don't like the caliber of people that live in Orania. One of the interviews I'd love to do is with their leader, Karel Boshoff. And I have not visited Orania before, but it's on my bucket list of places to visit. And if I do visit, I hope I'll go there with a camera. Hopefully I can speak to Karel and the boys up front and then get there to shoot an interview. I think that would be pretty cool. Obviously, I've sat with Ernst Roots of AfriForum. I'm hoping to set up a meeting with Ernst van Sail to go and visit their head office, their headquarters. I think it's Centurion. And then obviously after I've done that, I'll come and update you guys on my visits to AfriForum. Yeah, we'll speak about it. Manpower Spaces, my friend was killed for a tender last year for cutting grass. I'd like to send my condolences and sympathies, Manpower Space. It's sad how people have gotten to a point where they kill each other for scraps. That's how far down we've become as human beings. We've lost all sense of humanity. A tender for grass, you know what I mean? It's absolutely pathetic. And I'm really sorry about that. It's part of the mindset that we need to fix. Tabiso, Dale, Shy. Do you have a platform out on the internet where there are conversations around problems and actionable tasks and a plan is derived and followed through? Currently, I don't. I believe in human collaboration. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to partner with people that already have plans in place. People like Ian Cameron of Action Society in the Western Cape, and saying, how can we take what you're doing and then inspire other people to do similar things, so that when I speak, I represent Action Society, maybe an Operation Tudula, maybe an Action SA, not an Action SA, maybe an AfriForum, maybe other groups that are doing great work. Gift of the Givers as an amazing NPO that does amazing work. So how do I plug people in to find existing structures that are already working so that things can move? That's what I'm trying to do, not to build my own thing. I set up the Buy Black movement at some point. I've got my own charity foundation, the Mamsi Foundation. But I realize that some of these things of working in silos, it takes too much time and you don't really reach people at a scale that you'd like. So I prefer collaborating with people that are already on the ground and seeing how we can get more people involved in making a change. JCP202 work. We just moved onto a 4-hectare small holding just on the edge of Gauteng. Best decision ever. More people need to be okay with the idea of small agrarian living. JCP, I hope you'll invite me. I look forward to coming to visit you there. We've got family land in the Val in Didier, which comes up to about 11 hectares that I hope over time, once I find the right people, I want to go and make that place very, very beautiful. And create something as special as, if you've ever been to Gauteng, Irene Dairy Farm, beautiful place. If you can create spaces like that, I think we'd be moving forward as people. Running out of time. Isaiah Marke, would you accept sponsorship from a political party? Definitely. Would I accept sponsorship? I would accept sponsorship. Would the sponsorship be telling me vote for us and tell people to vote for us? The short answer is no. If a political party would like me to campaign for them, it must be very clear what we're doing. So if the DA, Freedom Front Plus, says, Penwell, we would like you to speak about us and the work we're doing, by all means. If they want to pay me for that, even better. And then I can tell you guys, the Freedom Front Plus stands for these things. This is the work they're doing, just as an idea. I'm willing to do that. But if I'm going to go out and say, guys, the right political party is the Patriotic Alliance with Gayton McKenzie and Kenny Nene, all these other political, you won't get me doing that. I'm not that type of person. It would be false. People that know me and people that respect my intelligence would know that it's not me. So yeah. Black Rose, how can I be so late to my own husband's life? Black Rose, thank you so much. And thank you for the donation. I see here, I don't know if these things are called super thanks or super chats of 33 Rand. That means a lot to me and I appreciate it. I hope as I do more of these lives, more people will come and tithe. Awu siyabonga mfundisi Penwell uzosifundisa kancane. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much, Black Rose. Can you please upload audio versions of your videos as you used to on Penwell the Black Pen, at least on Spotify? I'm hoping to find someone that can help me do that. The last gentleman I was working with, unfortunately, it was a bit too costly for me at the time. I just couldn't afford him. Otherwise, I would not have had a problem. But if I can find someone that is more affordable, that's willing to partner with me so we can grow together, by all means, I'm going to do that. Okay, there's a lot of text here. Lead Thoughts, love you, bro. Keep doing and never fall. Thank you so much. Nathaniel Turner, peace, Penwell, peace to the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone with all the great comments, the contributions. I'm sorry if I didn't read your comment. Unfortunately, there's limited time. Tabang Maliti asks, what's giving you hope right now? What gives me hope is myself, because I am God and I know that at any given time, I can move somewhere else. I know that I am meeting so many amazing human beings who are doing good work. I'm living a great life. I'm very privileged. I live a great life, by the way. You might see me ranting and complaining here, but my life is great. I just wish we could do more and do better for people out there. So I have hope in myself. I have hope in some of the people that I'm working in. I have hope with some of the people that are doing amazing work on the planet. And if South Africa crashes, I know it'll be temporary. I'll leave and go somewhere else, wait for the dust to settle, maybe come back here, maybe stay wherever I'm at. I'd love to be a global citizen and spread the gospel of Penwellism to the whole world. I've already got Penwellists in certain countries countries, certain cities. I just want to build us to be a better nation and a better community. I love what the Jews did. Unfortunately, the Jews are very closed. I'm looking to build like a non-racial movement and belief system. Black people, Indians, Chinese, white people across the continent, across the world, where someone can say, I'm a proud Penalist, I'm non-racialist, I believe in doing hard work, I believe that Penal is God, I believe in taking care of my body, I believe in critical thinking, I believe in intentional parenting, etc., etc., etc. That's actually my goal. That's what I want to do, and that's going to be my gift to the world at large. So what gives me hope is myself as God and some of the hopefully good work that I'm going to be doing. Please shout out my name. I want to be famous for a moment. I want to send a shout out to Usfiso. Come on! Shout out to Usfiso. Thank you so much for being on the live. Tibuho Muilua. You got the power to shake up mindsets. With great power comes great responsibility. I only started to listen to you recently, and I believe you have something great building up. Thank you very much, Tibuho, and I hope to collaborate with as many good people as possible who actually fuck with my mindset and fuck with the work that I'm doing. Because the more of us are in tune and are vibrating on the same frequency, the more we can actually effect real change. Ricky Kauka, greetings from Maputo, Mozambique. Obrigado. Thank you very much, Ricky. Do you know the concept of minimalism and what do you think about it? Asks Susake. Minimalism is one of the principles of Penalism, my belief system. If you ever get a chance, you can email penalsbooks@gmail.com. Get yourself a copy of my religious scriptures, my life guide, Penalism Principles, where you will go through the 30 principles that I have, of which minimalism is one of them. I love you guys very much and thank you for tuning in, man. Let's carry on doing good work. I'm out.